This is it, ladies and gentlemen. Leprechaun 6, Back to the Hood. And as it says here, Leprechaun Back to the Hood is a 2003 American horror comedy film, and it went straight to video. I cannot pronounce the name of the director, so I'm not even gonna try. But it's basically about the leprechaun, duh. And they give you this cheesy dialogue about how leprechauns were guardians of the king's gold. But once he died, they were whisked away back into the earth, all except for the one. The one that stayed in this world and became twisted and evil. Of course, that is London, the leprechaun, and he's played by Warwick Davis for the 6th and final time. Again, I want to reiterate, this is the final chapter in the Leprechaun series. He died in this movie before they rebooted it, and that's coming this year. Okay, the movie opens up with this black guy named Father Jacob. It's the first time I ever seen a black priest, but he's fighting the leprechaun, and he tells the leprechaun that he's going back to hell and that God is going to help him send the leprechaun back to hell. Father Jacob is played by Willie Carpenter. Father Jacob starts stabbing the leprechaun with this magical knife, and then the demons pull the leprechaun back to hell. Gee, that sounds like Jason Goes to Hell. Excuse me, Lionsgate, are you ripping off Jason? You sound like you are. This movie's produced by Lionsgate. Remember, Trimark doesn't own the franchise anymore. But 3 years later, in 2003, a bunch of kids find it, including this girl named Emily Woodrow. She's played by Tangi Miller. Her boyfriend, Rory Jackson, he's played by Laz Alonso. And their friend, Jamie Davis, is played by Paige Kennedy. And there's Lisa Duncan. She's played by Sherry Jackson. Emily is walking one day, and she falls through the ground, I guess. I guess she fell through the wood. I don't know exactly how that happened. Rory throws her a lighter down there, and she looks around, and she seems to be in this cave or something. But that's where she finds the gold, and this time, the gold is not in a pot like it's been for the other 5 movies. It's in a treasure chest. Really? A treasure chest? That's what you put the gold in? Why couldn't it just be a pot? It was a pot for the other 5 movies. But she finds the gold, and they split it. She split it with her friends. Why wouldn't she? But the funny thing is, a witch warned her that she would run into riches beyond her wildest dreams. She doesn't pay attention to the witch. That's when the leprechaun is released from hell. He comes back to Earth and basically picks off her friends one by one. Now her boyfriend Rory Jackson has been having a problem with this rival gang, and they're basically selling drugs. Now I watched this movie with my dad earlier. He pointed out something very interesting. He said that the movie wasn't really about the leprechaun. It was more about Rory kissing his girlfriend. He's got a point. It's supposed to be about the leprechaun, not about sexual relationships. The leprechaun was just added to the background, as he pointed out. He was a background figure. He should have been front and center. But as I stated, the leprechaun's basically picking them off one by one. He killed some guy at a party because Jamie Davis, who's played by Paige Kennedy, had spent his portion of the gold on weed. And the guy comes to the party and he decides to smoke with the leprechaun because he thinks that the leprechaun is some guy in a costume. When he stands up to leave the room after smoking with the leprechaun, the gold falls out of his pocket, and that's when the leprechaun recognizes the gold. He asked the guy, he says, give me back the gold, and the guy wouldn't give it to him. So the leprechaun took his bong and stabbed him with it. Really, Lubden? Really? That's what you do? You stab people with bongs? I mean, I guess we do that now. We use bongs as weapons. What happened to a knife? Or an axe? Or any kind of sharp instrument, but you're going to use a bong instead? No, they're outside partying at Jamie's house, and nobody even knows that the guy's dead until Emily walks in the room for whatever reason, and she screams. And the police come, and they think that a rival gang did it, and Jamie gets arrested for having all that weed in his house. Once they get themselves together, they basically shake it off. So Emily, who once again I want to tell you is played by Tangi Miller, she's at this beauty shop. She's massaging some fat lady's back, and she tells the lady that they're out of oil. So she goes into this room to get more oil, and then she feels hands rubbing on her, and she thinks that it's Emily doing it, but it's really Lubden, the leprechaun, massaging her back. And then he stabs her with his nails. Emily comes, sees the leprechaun, and she decides to fight the leprechaun back. She takes a pair of hair clippers, jams it into the leprechaun's eye, and she runs home, tells everyone what happened. I got attacked by a leprechaun. They think she's crazy. So we get to Lisa Duncan's house. She noticed that somebody's been there. The leprechaun comes to her house, so she fights pretty well. She burns his face with a cigarette lighter and some spray chemicals, but that doesn't work. So the leprechaun takes his hand and sticks it through her body. Her friends come and find Lisa's body dead, and they're grieving. They're like, oh, we got to give up the gold because this is what he wants. And Rory's like, no, we're not giving up the gold. And Emily tells Rory, we got to do this because this is what the leprechaun wants. We got to give up the gold. I told you that cops came and they tried to arrest them for having the gold. But the leprechaun killed both of the cops and used the one cop's leg as a way to drive the car, to steer the car, because his legs are too short, so he can't put his foot on the gas pedal. Once he kills them, then he goes back after Rory and his friends. And he meets up with Rory's rival gang, especially that guy named Watson, and he's played by Sheikh Mohammed something. I don't know, he must be Muslim. But Watson is basically boxing the leprechaun. And he's like, welcome to the hood, baby. Why do you have to remind us that you're in the hood? We know you're in the hood. We know the name of the movie. You know how we knew you're in the hood? Because the movie's called Leprechaun, Back to the Hood. So we kind of put that together. You don't have to remind us of that. But anyway, he's fighting the leprechaun. And the leprechaun waits for him to get tired. Once he gets tired, he punches a hole in Watson. What is it with the leprechaun punching holes in people and stabbing people with bongs? I don't get that. Then he also kills that other guy that Rory was fighting with. The guy's name was Cedric, and he's played by a rapper named Sticky Fingers. Anyway, he kills him. The only people that are left now is Emily, Rory, and Jamie Davis. You know, Rory and Jamie are arguing with each other. Jamie's crying, talking about, you're supposed to have my back. I don't know what he's talking about. I never did figure out what he was talking about. But they bicker. They end up shooting the leprechaun, running him over with a car. None of that stuff works. They go back to the witch to try to get help from her. Her power works for a little while, but then the leprechaun does this weird thing where his eyes turn red, and I'm like, what the hell? What are you doing? Why are your eyes turning red? He's weird. He's stabbing people with bongs, having red eyes and punching holes in people. I guess he was smoking too much weed. That's why his eyes was red. I don't know. But he killed the witch. So the three friends that are left run to this building where there's a furnace, and Emily somehow lures the leprechaun into the furnace, and she sets him on fire, and she's telling him, how dare you kill these people for the gold? You're evil. And he's like, don't presume to tell me about right and wrong. You compromised all you believed in once you got the gold. So she sets him on fire, but to no avail. And by the way, the weed that Jamie received at the beginning of the movie has clovers in it. Wow, that's so convenient. So Rory takes one of the clovers, chops it up, and puts pieces of it into the bullets. So each bullet that touches the leprechaun, he's actually touched by the four-leaf clover. Every time he tries to shoot and kill the leprechaun with the magical bullets, the gun jams. He ends up stabbing Jamie with a bat. What the hell? He stabs people with weird stuff. Okay, first he stabs a guy with a bong, and now he stabs somebody in the knee with a bat. And he's got red eyes. This movie is weird. I can't wait to be done with it. It was better than part 5, I'll tell you that much. Now it's just Rory and Emily left because Jamie has been incapacitated by being stabbed in the knee with a baseball bat. They're the only ones left. Rory tries again to shoot the leprechaun with the magical bullets that have clovers in them, and the gun runs out of bullets. The leprechaun hits Rory in his knee, causing him to become incapacitated. I don't know what's up with this guy and his obsession with damaging people's knees. I don't get that, but now it's just Emily left, and the leprechaun is about to throw her over the roof. Rory distracts the leprechaun somehow and gets Emily back up on the roof. She takes the treasure chest and just smacks the leprechaun in the face with it. He falls into the cement. He drowns in the cement, and they leave you looking at the three friends. Jamie ended up surviving. This is the only horror movie where black people lived. And I guess the only reason that black people lived is because black people were the only ones that were in this movie. The three friends live happily ever after. The leprechaun is gone. They wanted them to do another movie, but Lionsgate and the WWE decided to reboot it. So this will be the final time that you see Warwick Davis as the Leprechaun. This is the end of the Leprechaun franchise, but leave it up to WWE to ruin something. I'm the Michael Myers fanatic. I approve this message. Leprechaun 6, Back to the Hood. This is the final Leprechaun movie. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed reviewing the Leprechaun movies for you guys. Thank you for watching my reviews and supporting me. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Leprechaun 6, Back to the Hood. It was released on December 30th, 2003, and it was released by Lionsgate Films. This is exactly 10 years after the first Leprechaun. I'm surprised they didn't do an anniversary movie. But anyway, that's it. Thank you for listening, guys. Leprechaun 6, Back to the Hood. I approve this message. Thank you.